And for today, we are going to have two topics ahead of us. And first topic is actually going to be regarding the chip shortage that is affecting a lot of car manufacturers, actually. And we're also going to be talking about Soulja Boy and his apparent purchase of Atari. So, welcome back to the Tech Summit podcast. This is going to be episode 62. And I wanted to give all of you a very special thanks. Well, not only for stopping by, but also like just for being great sports. Now, with that said, to all of our patrons over here, we do have the Razer Siren Mini in white as part of the giveaway for this month. So that's going to be for the patrons. And if you are interested in winning yourself one of these, then links to that down below. We do giveaways every single month for patrons, and we also offer early content as well as bonus episodes of the Tech Summit podcast. But I actually have some news regarding that. And you may have noticed that I don't have a partner with me today. Unfortunately, he was not able to make it. So today's episode is going to be done just with me. I'm pretty much just going to be giving my own take. However, hopefully things will get back to normal in due time. So yeah, again, thanks a lot for sticking around, because now we do have some talking to do. So firstly, the major thing actually that a lot of people have been bringing up to me has to do with the unavailability, I want to say, or just lack of availability of graphics cards and CPUs, consoles, and things like that. Things are not being manufactured at the kind of speed that a lot of people might expect due to a shortage in chips. And this has been affecting the automotive industry for quite some time. However, now we are starting to see that things have only really gotten worse. So, according to this article from BBC titled Chip Shortage, Toyota to Cut Global Production by 40%, that was posted 2 days ago as of the posting of, as of the recording of this episode in particular. So, essentially, this reads, since I don't really see the name of the author around here, this reads, Toyota is to slash worldwide vehicle production by 40% in September because of the global microchip shortage. The world's biggest car maker had planned to make almost 900,000 cars, so almost 1 million next month, but has now reduced that to 540,000 vehicles. Volkswagen, the world's second biggest car producer, has warned it may also be forced to cut output further. The COVID pandemic boosted demand for appliances that use chips, such as phones, TVs, and game consoles. So a lot of industries are being affected by this, and it appears that car manufacturers are definitely being affected by this pretty hard at the moment too. Just because of one tiny chip that's missing from all of these different devices, that's making it so that they're just not complete, and you can't exactly use them without them. Now, I do find it especially surprising when it comes to vehicles, because at least for quite a while, I didn't even realize that a chip actually went into the vast majority of modern vehicles in particular. And according to this article as well, Toyota's other rivals, including General Motors, Ford, Nissan, Daimler, if I pronounced that correctly, BMW, and Renault, I hope I said that correctly as well, have already scaled back production in the face of the global chip shortage. Until now, Toyota had managed to avoid doing the same, with the exception of extending summer shutdowns by a week in France and the Czech Republic, as well as Turkey. New cars often include dozens of microchips, but Toyota benefited from having built a larger stockpile of chips, also called semiconductors, as part of a revamp to its business continuity plan developed in the wake of the Fukushima earthquake and tsunami a decade ago. So a lot is going on in that regard, and it seems like they're still recovering from a lot of issues that hit them quite some time ago already. So I do have to say that, quite frankly, I really don't expect things to get much better regarding the chip shortages, at least not anytime soon. Eventually, this will get fixed, but right now, I don't see that happening whatsoever because this has been affecting so many industries. So many industries depend on these chips, on the silicon, on the semiconductors. And it would be pretty difficult to be able to spread that around to just about every industry slash company that needs it right now. This is not going to fix. This is not going to get fixed at all this year, guys. I really do not think so. Now, that is just my opinion based off of everything that I have seen here. I did expect that there would be a shortage in vehicles that would be manufactured this year. There's still a shortage regarding consoles, as well as PC components such as CPUs and GPUs. Though from what I have seen, it has gotten better from the standpoint of CPUs. GPUs are still more so of a hit or miss there. And now vehicles. Vehicles have also been affected pretty heavily. So while a lot of these manufacturers are still going to be releasing cars this year, just don't really expect there to be as much availability as if there would normally be when it comes to a lot of vehicles, a lot of different models, and things like that. So I do expect this shortage to continue up until maybe the middle of next year. And I think that is a pretty reasonable time frame to expect all of this to be fixed, or at the very least, for there to be some kind of remedy for everything that has happened here. But yeah, do just expect a lot of shortages moving forward. I'm sure that the Steam Deck, for instance, which is another device that a lot of people have been looking forward to, I would probably say expect shortages regarding that too. And when it comes to the Nintendo Switch OLED, which people do care a little bit less about, just considering that there's already another Switch that is just as powerful as this one. This one just has an OLED screen along with a couple of other gimmicks. But still, do expect a shortage around that as well. And speaking of shortages and things of the like, I actually kind of wanted to give you guys an update regarding how marketplaces such as eBay are handling scalping regarding products that are not being sold, or at the very least shipped or delivered within the 30 days of that listing being posted, or I should say of said customer placing an order. So for example, actually, if I go right now over to eBay site, I'm going to try to go ahead and just type in, for example, Nintendo Switch OLED, and there are not going to be any listings for it. Never mind what I said. I just contradicted myself there. Okay, so like in all fairness, we did not see any listings for some time for the Nintendo Switch OLED, as a matter of fact, and same with the Steam Deck, because eBay has a policy that if you can't ship that product within the next 30 days of it being ordered, then you're just straight up not really allowed to sell it on eBay. So that's why with a lot of consoles like this, like the Steam Deck and very much like the Nintendo Switch OLED, those were taken off of the marketplace. However, when I was just checking here, it looks like they are actually back, and this is pretty insane. So over here, I am seeing prices for the Nintendo Switch OLED. We should not be seeing these whatsoever on eBay because they will not be able to ship it within the next 30 days. This model of the Nintendo Switch is not going to come out until October, and we are still in the middle of August. There are still more than 30 days left before these consoles even release whatsoever. So I don't really understand why eBay is allowing this kind of thing to happen. And it's really come as an influx, it seems, because over here I am seeing one listing that actually goes for $650 confirmed pre-order for the black and white model. It seems like the colored blue and red Joy-Cons go for a little bit cheaper because we do already have native blue and red Joy-Cons. I'm guessing that that's why we also already have a black dock. And the one, like the black and white model, does come with a white dock. That's actually the one that I pre-ordered through Best Buy. And from what I'm seeing here, I'm just straight up not a fan of what's going on over here. So 520 for the colored version, 550 from another seller for the black and white one. So 550 seems to be a relative average. Some are actually trying to compete against each other from what I'm seeing here. So they're going down to around $475, and then from there on out, if you want anything cheaper, then you would be looking at bids at the moment and just hope to win any of those bids. But yeah, like this, I don't know what eBay is doing in this regard, because this is not supposed to be happening. We literally saw these go up shortly after the Nintendo Switch OLED pre-orders were opened, and people immediately pre-ordered them, and then a lot of them started posting them on eBay for about double the price and things like that. And same with the Steam Deck, as a matter of fact. So seeing this now, considering that they had actually taken everything down and seeing it all come right back up, and in fact, it's even worse, the prices are even higher than before, is astonishing to me. Like, I don't know why eBay is allowing this. I wonder if they are aware of this, but I really think that they should take a look at what's going on here. I'm actually going to go ahead and check if the Steam Deck is still something that is being scalped at the moment, and it appears that no, that is not the case. There aren't any Steam Decks whatsoever on eBay available, from what I can see at least. But the Nintendo Switch OLED is in fact still a pre-order product that is being resold on eBay at the moment. I am not a fan whatsoever of this practice here, especially considering that eBay had already taken all of this down. So yeah, guys, don't bother spending any amount of money on these scalped units. The Nintendo Switch OLED, even if you don't already have a Switch, is not going to be worth it to you. If you're spending $550, $500 for it, $475 for it, you shouldn't pay more than the MSRP price, which is $350 for this. So do not fall for this, because it is not going to be worth it. If I were you, instead, on the other hand, I would probably buy one of the other Switches instead, if you are on the market for a Switch at the moment. And from what I can see, I'm actually coming across, even just on eBay, I'm coming across a couple of refurbs that are going for $270, so you do get a little bit of savings there. Like, there is already a pretty decent market for you there. So please, by all means, look elsewhere. Go for the original Switch model, if anything, because you're not getting much more with the OLED model, if I'm completely honest. I myself pre-ordered it, already being an owner of a Switch, because I have to talk about it on this channel when that eventually gets here. But otherwise, I wouldn't have done it, because essentially it is just a nicer screen with a better kickstand and just a little bit more internal storage, which it's not really that big of a deal if it's only going to be at 64 gigs. So yeah, that is essentially going to be my verdict regarding that. However, considering that I would consider this scalping situation to be essentially technically scamming, because you are really inflating those prices just because you want to make a little bit more money on that. However, I will say that there is another topic kind of regarding scamming and lying that has been surfacing as of lately, and that actually has to do with a piece of news that I believed that I actually bought into at first. And this has to do with that whole debacle involving a former rapper, since I don't think he's making music anymore, Soulja Boy, and ATARI. So the news literally just yesterday, as of recording this podcast episode, um, essentially revolves around Soulja Boy saying, "Yes, I bought ATARI," as in the entire company. He is the owner of ATARI. Period. He bought it, right? But then everybody started to call him out on how much of a liar he's being, and even Atari jumped into the frame to say that that title of CEO, or owner, I should say, of Atari belongs to somebody else already, and that Soulja Boy has absolutely no involvement with Atari whatsoever. Which is, it is, I don't, I, I I just really don't understand why he has to go through such lengths uh, to become public enemy number one, just to see all of this go down in the way that it has been going down. I mean, we have seen in the past with the Soldier consoles, right? That those were essentially just overpriced, bootlegged emulation machines that were mostly empty on the inside. Like, it just had one tiny Raspberry Pi, from my understanding, and that's essentially everything that you had to play around with. It was just an emulation machine that you could download your own ROMs to. It even came with ROMs on it already. And that was already a pretty big issue because he was selling the same kind of console, or I should say emulation machine, that you could find on other websites like AliExpress and things like that, for way cheaper than what Soulja Boy was selling that console to. But that also went for a bunch of other products, like, for instance, the Soulja Watch, which was just a really terrible knockoff of the Apple Watch. They pretty much went ahead and took that approach. And when questioned on the legality of whether or not he actually had a license for being able to post or to sell any of these consoles with these games, he was more so dodging that question. He was kind of just saying, my lawyers do not advise me to talk about this, and obviously that is a pretty big red flag. But ultimately, it was indeed decided that he did not have permission to do so at all. So the Soldier console is something that nobody really has been paying much attention to. And then comes this. This seems to me like a very stupid ploy to try and bring himself back into relevancy in some regard. And if he wants to become relevant again, I really don't think that he has to take such a negative approach to all of this, just considering that at one point he was incredibly popular, and he could probably bring his way back into fame if he tried something else, if he did something good. But I personally think that Soulja Boy should really try and just stay away from the gaming industry altogether, because he's really starting to become a very hated figure among many people. And I'm pretty sure that he's already developed some pretty bad blood with Atari as it is, considering that they had to go out of their way to say, no, Soulja Boy is not the owner of Atari. We did not sell ourselves, the company, to Soulja Boy whatsoever. So if you start saying anything about that, just know that it is indeed a lie. And when I first heard that Soulja Boy had done that, I believed it. I'm not going to lie. I believed it. I did. And I kind of just wanted to wait and see what it was that Soulja Boy was going to end up doing with Atari as a whole. I was just wondering if maybe he was really taking the whole idea of selling consoles seriously. Like, he really wanted to make something different, or just something with Atari overall. But that's just not the case. Because when when I found out with absolute confirmation from Atari that this was just not the case, Soulja Boy has no involvement with them. I'm pretty sure that that if there ever was a relationship in development there, it has been cut off. Not that I think that there was actually a relationship there to begin with, but yeah, this does look pretty damning for Soulja Boy, and I really do not expect him to recover from this one for quite some time. I don't even know how to advise him in that regard, what to tell him so that he can just forget about the gaming industry. Sure, play your video games, buy your games, and do your thing, but stop trying to sell all of these drop-shipped products to people, and stop trying to lie to people about buying product. Or buying companies, I should say, because at the end of the day, everyone's going to find out sooner or later, and it seems like it took less than 24 hours for people to catch on that he was full of it, and that's really not a good look. But at this point, I don't even think that Soulja Boy really cares about having a good look regarding the industry at the moment, whether it's gaming or tech or even in the music industry, because not a lot of musicians have really been jumping ship into anything like this. Now, I would consider that to be a very interesting piece of news there, and honestly, I do wish that my co-host was here right now, because we would be having a very fantastic conversation about this right now. But there is actually one other piece of news that I was kind of debating whether or not I should bring onto the podcast, or if it's something that I should keep out of it. But I think that I should maybe just give it a bit of a brief mention, since it has been talked about so much as of late. So, everybody knows about OF, right? Everybody knows about OnlyFans at this point and what that entails. And everybody recognizes it as a brand that is for specific types of content, for people who really want that specific types of content. There are people that have made a ton of money through this service, like just offering up whatever types of content that I shall not mention here on this episode of the podcast, considering that I would like to stay monetized if possible. But if you know what OnlyFans is, then you already know what kind of content a lot of creators there produce. So OnlyFans actually started off as more so like a Patreon alternative. Like, it was just a way of supporting independent creators in another way through subscriptions and things like that. But eventually, particularly when the current global situation got pretty bad, that's when more creators started to emerge on that side, and they started bringing in a lot more spicy content, to put it mildly. However, it appears that OnlyFans is going to drop that from their site. They will no longer be allowing spicy content on OnlyFans whatsoever, which essentially, to me at least, this very much means that OnlyFans just kind of is throwing their brand into the trash can to never be able to pick it back up, because this was OF's main selling point. This is what the vast majority of people went there for. Now, I'm sure that there were other creators who were making other types of non-spicy content, and in fact, that really does appear to be the case, since OnlyFans wants to be able to focus now on just more, I suppose, commercially friendly content. So they want to drop all of the spicy stuff. However, there are still some rules and regulations around that do seem a little bit odd, just like a little bit vague. And I can see a lot of creators getting in trouble because of these things, because it seems like you can still post spicy content if you do it in a very specific way, but then if it gets reported or found, like you would have to argue why this would be fair or why it wouldn't be fair to keep on the site and continue to monetize this kind of thing. So a lot of people at the moment, I should say, a lot of creators are very upset at what just happened. I myself am incredibly indifferent about it. I don't care whether or not this site ends up succeeding. So yeah, like that's just essentially my take on it. However, a lot of people who do treat this as their job, as their main source of income, are understandably upset because they pretty much only have a month to be able to either reap as many benefits as possible from OF or just moving past that and going over to a different platform, which is what I think is going to end up happening. Or maybe just a combination of the two. However, OF is just not going to have the same viewership that it has now in about a month when that ends up changing. So I do feel for those creators who were using that as a main source of income. However, I myself am very much indifferent as to the website dropping that and moving on to more advertiser-friendly types of content. I can understand why OF would go in that direction in a sense, but also they seem to have been doing pretty well, allowing the type of content that they have been allowing for so long. So this move does seem pretty puzzling and confusing to me in spite of all of the reasonings that I have heard. So yeah, over here, that's pretty much everything that I've got regarding news on OF until something else I'm so sorry. I'm stuttering like crazy tonight. But until things come back to any sort of normality or people get to move on to a different type of platform. Now, there have been quite a few bits of tech news here and there, and I do want to say that I am very much grateful to all of you for jumping in to today's episode of the Tech Summit podcast. Now, the piece of news that I wanted to share with you all actually is that we are going to be going on a hiatus because this place, as much as we have tried to hide it from you guys, is falling apart in a lot of ways. All of these foam tiles are just falling down. I have used Gorilla Glue spray. I have used Gorilla Glue adhesive. I have even used duct tape to try and keep these things up. So we are going to be working on just fixing everything up so that we don't have to worry so much about the angles or anything like that. And also we are going to be fixing a lot of aspects here. So by the time that we come back to the podcast, everything is going to look considerably different, I want to say. So yeah, that also means that we are going to be going on a hiatus from posting bonus episodes on the Patreon, and I do hope that you guys understand. We are still going to be producing normal content, our typical tech reviews and tech videos in general. So if you are interested in that, and maybe if you do want early access to any of this, then do make sure to stop by the Patreon. We would very much appreciate that. But with that said, this has been Francisco and Christopher, who would normally be sitting there. So until next time, enjoy. See you all on the bonus episode. Later.